Okay, well, let nobody say that Oda does not leave us on break without some substantial, monumental content to discuss, all right? So chapter 1130, right? Right? Yeah. We having fun yet? Yeah, this is great. Okay. Oh, by the way, I'm teching. This is a pumpkin. Barry's missing. Big Mom's also here. Just go with it. Okay. So, spoilers for chapter 1130, but let's just dive right into the burning question everybody is asking. Is Luffy going to release Loki? Click yes or no now. We're doing a lot of Dora the Explorer-esque interactions as of late. Do 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 do. What is that? Oh, that's the Super Mario World bonus stage. Like do 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 do. And is this the tunes that get stuck in your head over the years? Okay, so yeah, I'm assuming most people clicked on yes. I'm assuming most people clicked on yes. All right, let's just set the stage here, right? Okay, Loki, the accursed prince of the giants, slayer of his own father, taker of the legendary devil fruit, so strong he resisted the mighty army of the Elbathian giants, chained to the world tree Yggdrasil, bound for all days until Ragnarok, the end of the world, will come. Luffy walks right up to that guy and he's like, hey dude, what's up? And he's like, I'm chained to this tree. Cool. Do you want to not be chained to the tree? I mean, if you let me go. I love how Loki even directly admits in the chapter, when I am freed, I am going to immediately destroy this country. Granted, he did not elaborate on that much at all. He just said, I am the one, I am the sun god that will destroy this country, right? I will destroy the warland Elbaf, right? Here's the thing. I do not think Loki is going to be the principal villain of Elbaf. I feel like this last chapter is so hamming it up that he is, right? Okay, like all the giants are talking about him like, oh, Loki, prince, killed his father, stole this legendary devil fruit. Oh my god, he's awful. He's so strong. He was supposed to be executed, but he resisted. We chained him to a tree, and when he gets released, the end of days will happen. By the by, why did that prophecy become a thing, all right? I feel like it has to be something related to the devil fruit, and this brings up a question, like, did Loki actually eat the devil fruit, or was it something that was, like, just passed down throughout, like, the lineage of the king of Elbaf, and then Loki stole it and then ate it? I would assume he would have had to eat it, because I think it is the power of that legendary fruit that will cause the end of Elbaf, and so it's probably something along the lines that, like, this devil fruit might be, bar none, the single most dangerous devil fruit in the entire story, okay? Now, we've heard of really strong devil fruits being referenced before. Sengoku mentioned specifically that Whitebeard's power of the Gura Gura no Mi is like the strongest paramecia, and, you know, in the wrong hands with Whitebeard's, you know, power could destroy the entire world through, like, earthquakes and tsunamis and shit, right? We've also mentioned that Akainu's Logia, the Magu Magu no Mi, has, like, the highest tier of destructive capabilities, being, you know, like, magma's able to pretty much melt anything. Ask Big Mom over here, right? A lot of really devastating devil fruits. Whatever fruit Dragon has is really powerful, right? Really powerful devil fruits. And you have the Op fruit that can do, you know, the immortality surgery, the eternal youth operation, all that kind of stuff, right? But this one might just be no joke, might just be like the apocalypse fruit. You know, like, this is, like, legitimately the power of this fruit is that it ends the world, okay? Like, or it gives you the god sheet, you know, that allows you to just, like, wave your arm and, like, entire swaths of flames and plagues just, you know, like, descend on whatever land you're in right now, okay? So I'm going to assume the chains that Loki is bound to Yggdrasil with are sea prism chains. I can't really imagine, like, if he's that strong, regular chains are not going to hold him. If he's that strong, then, like, you don't, like, the entire army of Elbaf coming together to restrain him, like, that's a big deal, right? So, yeah, that devil fruit probably passed down through the lineages, probably because, like, oh, this fruit, if it's ever consumed, will cause the end of days. So, will keep it in the rightful hands, the noble, just hands of the kings of Elbaf, and they will pass it down to their children, and it will be safe and secure deep in the vaults of Elbaf for all time, okay? And then Loki is probably the one that was the troublesome, rebellious prince that was like, screw that, I'm gonna eat it. Oh, screw you, Dad, I'm eating your devil fruit. Another way of looking at it is, going along with Big Mom, it's very apt that she's back here today, is that Big Mom got the powers of the Soul fruit after, well, we don't know for certain, but the implication is eating Mother Caramel. So we know that that's a thing. We also know that Blackbeard, throwing that cloak over Whitebeard's corpse, managed to obtain the Gura Gura no Mi that way. Now, yeah, there is something unique with Blackbeard in that he's able to have more than one Devil Fruit ability, but like the actual means of him extracting the power from Whitebeard's corpse, that might have been something like different or separate from the ability that he has to like have multiple fruits, if you know what I mean. Because like with the devil fruit reincarnation cycle, you die and the essence of the fruit leaves and goes and reincarnates in another fruit. So Blackbeard might have just figured out a way like, oh, after a devil fruit user dies, there's like a 5-minute period before the devil fruit leaves them or whatever like that. Like it's not like an instant thing, or he figured out the method to like extract the power or capture the soul or something like that. So maybe Loki knows the same thing is what I'm getting across here. Maybe Loki knew the method, like maybe his father, Harald, King Harald of Elbaf, did in fact eat the fruit and had the power, but was like a kind, just king and would never have used it. But Loki is like the worst person to get this power, right? Also, it was not him that was supposed to eat the fruit and get the power anyway, or have the fruit at least. It was Hiruden, because Hiruden is older than Loki. We know this because Hiruden was 18 years old when Loki was born during the flashback at Elbaf with Big Mom and Gerd and everybody like that, right? So Hiruden is a prince, and we've learned that. Of Elbaf. We assume King Harald's other son. We don't know if it's from the same marriage that also you have Loki, right? So at the very least, they might be half-brothers. But the idea is that, Loki was not the next in line to the throne. I've also seen some people talking about, like, because what is the situation with Elbaf's leadership right now? Like, who is the king? Like, who is the ruler of Elbaf at the moment, right? If King Harald is dead. And he's apparently been dead for, like, maybe not a long time, but at least, like, a few years, I would think. Like, I don't think Loki has been chained to Yggdrasil for like a decade or anything like that, but he's been there for a hot minute, okay? At least probably like a couple years at least, okay? So, yeah, if Luffy frees him, I don't think he's going to turn out to be an evil guy. I don't think he's going to turn out to, like, immediately, like, you freed me, now I will destroy this country. How dare you, you foolish child, like that. I don't think it's going to go something like that. Loki's a little bit off his rocker just from his demeanor and how he acts and everything like that. But I don't think he's going to be the villain. I think it's just too obvious. I think there's some other people there. I don't think it's Road either, obviously. I think it's just something else is going on here in Elbaf that we're going to explore throughout this arc. I mean, like, in the last chapter, 1130 was honestly, like, the first proper chapter of Elbaf. Like, if you take away all the stuff that was going on in, like, the model Lego city, which was in Elbaf, which was, like, more of its own separate thing, this is the first chapter where they're properly running around Elbaf, and we're seeing a full view of it and what it really looks like. And, the giants were explaining how, oh, like, yeah, Loki is how important he is, and Hiruden and everything like that, right? So, yeah, that was, like, the first real chapter we had, and this is the first big cliffhanger of this, right? Okay? So, I draw parallels to this very similar to Luffy being prophesized to destroy Fishman Island. Like, Madame Charlie saw the prediction, which I do think is, like, guaranteed to happen. Like, that will occur. The destruction of Fishman Island will occur at one point. And it will be because directly of the actions of Luffy. Whether or not Luffy intends those actions to destroy Fishman Island or not, whatever actions Luffy takes will directly lead to the destruction of Fishman Island. Now, that's not necessarily a bad thing because they have the Noah. They have like an evacuation vessel, basically. So I think everybody's going to get on the Noah, go to the surface, and there's going to be a new Fishman Island by the end of the story where everybody lives under the sun and everything like that. So ultimately, it is a good thing, okay? It would be scary at the moment, and it's terrifying because it's like the island is going to be destroyed. Might be something very similar to Loki. Loki is maybe, oh yeah, they say Loki, whoever eats the fruit, or he's going to use the power to destroy Elbaf and, like, knock down and burn down the world tree. We can't have that. And maybe Loki knows something that they don't, or whatever. He's just like, no, I know what I have to do. Like, in order for the world to get better, I need to eat this fruit. Or it might not even be anything like that. It might be just very much like how Luffy is all about freedom. Loki might be the same way. I mean, Loki does claim to be the sun god after all. We don't know what kind of sun god he really is. Road was kind of the creepy sort of sun god. Luffy doesn't really even know he's a sun god yet, but he aspires toward freedom in all aspects. We know this. There's a lot of members of the Will of D that have this. Maybe Loki has the Will of D as well. And, so it's like Loki's like, oh, they said I couldn't have that devil fruit, so I'll take it. Maybe King Harald was an asshole. The way that the Giants kind of talk about him was like he wasn't, but they don't really actually go a lot into King Harald's character. They don't say that like, oh, yes, our last king was a kind, benevolent, great man. I don't believe they actually refer to King Harald as anything like that. They just say, oh yeah, Loki killed him, right? So this might be like a Mad King situation, like in Game of Thrones. Like the Mad King, Ares II, was like an awful, awful man that was like gonna burn an entire city down. Jaime Lannister kills him. And even though he's an evil king that was clearly trying to do mass murder, and it's like, yeah, killing that guy, probably a good idea at that point, people still lambast Jaime as the Kingslayer throughout the entire story. Like, you killed the king. He's like, he was going to kill everybody else. He's like, yes, but that doesn't matter. You killed a king, And it's like, it might be something like that with Loki. Like, even if King Harald, said to Loki, like, Loki, I'm going to consume the devil fruit. Or maybe he already did. Like King Harald consumed the apocalypse fruit or the Fenrir fruit or something. Like, I'll consume it and I'll become the end of Elbaf. And Loki's like, no, you won't, father. I must stop you. And he cuts him down and then eats the fruit. And everybody else around the country obviously thinks that he's, a murderer. You've committed regicide and all that kind of jazz. And we're going to capture you and execute you. And, Loki gets all chained up and whatever like that, right? They managed to chain him up before he activated the power. Although, like, if the Devil Fruit ability is so strong that it could end Elbaf at least, maybe not end the entire world in one activation, but at least, like, destroy Elbaf, you think he would have, like, eaten it and activated it right away. So I feel like at this point, after being chained up for so long, maybe Loki might also have a little bit of screws loose up there, and he just might be like, you know what? Fine, I am the sun god. I am the bringer of destruction. I am going to destroy this island. Like, Loki is not the kind of guy to, like, casually explain this. Like, okay, let me sit you all down and explain what the plan is and why I had to kill my father and eat this devil fruit. Loki might just be like, yeah, whatever, I'm the sun god. Chain me up if you can, but I'm going to destroy this country anyway. It's already been foretold. Right, okay. Dude, I would love for Luffy to free Loki. And then as, like, the great Eric docks and they're looking around for the Straw Hats, Loki and Luffy just roll up. Like, Luffy's just hanging out on his shoulder, just like, hey, man, do you know where my friends are? He's like, I don't know, maybe over there. He's like, oh, yeah. And then they walk over. And then we have Dory and Broggy and, well, maybe not Dory and Broggy because they've heard about this story secondhand, but they weren't even around when Loki was born. So Dory and Broggy have, like, a secondhand account of this, but they weren't there. So they don't know the whole situation, right? But maybe some other giants will be, like, all doing the face fault moments of, like, oh, hello there, Luffy. It looks like your captain found Loki, the accursed prince. And it's just like, oh no, that's not good. That's not good at all, right? So, if Loki, let's say Luffy does not release Loki right now, though, because that would be the funny thing. And I think no matter what, Luffy's going to try to free Loki. But what if he can't, And it might be like, well, these chains are massive, giant chains. And if they are made out of sea stone, that's going to be pretty difficult for Luffy. Because Luffy does have the hockey technique to, like the Ryuo technique to pour his hockey into a structure and then destroy it from the inside out. But he's only done that with, like, the collars and handcuffs and stuff like that. Stuff he can really get, like, a firm grip on and just destroy that way with his hockey. These are massive chains. A single chain link is, like, bigger than he is. So, the idea that Luffy can just, like, pour his hockey into these, and if it is sea stone, even touching this is going to, like, sap his energy, right? And that kind of still applies even in Gear 5th. Like, even if Luffy goes into Gear 5th, if he gets dropped in the water or gets covered in sea stone, that's still going to drain his power. I don't think Gear 5th, like, overrides the weakness of Devil Fruits, okay? It's still very clearly a Devil Fruit ability. So Luffy might be like, oh, I'll free you, giant. Don't worry about it. So Luffy goes into Gear 5th, turns into a giant himself, goes to pick up the chains to, like, destroy them. and just immediately gets weakened and like passes out also. You know, like the idea that like if Loki's devil fruit is the cause of this, if it isn't something else, if it isn't like his hockey is so great that it has the potential to destroy the world, which I don't think is the case. I think it is specifically the devil fruit, you know, and by the way, we'll get to exactly like what the devil fruit could be here in a minute, like what type it can be and whatever, whatnot. But yeah, like if that is the purpose of it and it hasn't done it so far, and the reason is because of these chains, yeah, I mean, like Loki might be weakened, but like just, you know, his sheer strength alone might be enough for him to still have like a coherent conversation, even bound with all this sea stone. Like this is only like maybe 1% of Loki's total power here. So what kind of devil fruit could this be? I see a lot of people jumping with the Norse mythology reference to Fenrir. Okay, like, oh, Loki has, you know, the mythical zone Fenrir, and then Fenrir will bring about Ragnarok and all that kind of stuff, right? So mythical zones, we've seen a lot of mythical zones. I would rather, personally, it be a Logia, and the objectively strongest Logia. You know, like, so just like how, you know, Whitebeard's fruit was stated to be like, this is the strongest Paramecia fruit. So we also have, like, in Logia, like I said, we had the Magu Magu, but I think even something even stronger than that, you know, for the Logia. Like, something like, I don't know, like... the plasma fruit, the antimatter fruit, you know, like something so powerful, like creates an energy that can just like destroy and obliterate everything around it. Like anything it touches is just, you know, disintegrated. Okay. You know, like anything it touches just immediately disintegrates with the amount of power that it yields, right? Oh, maybe it is like a nuclear fruit. You know, a lot of people have been throwing out the idea of like, you know, when is there going to be a radiation-based devil fruit? And it's like, well, we did talk a lot about the Mother Flame and stuff. And oh, wait a minute. You know what? Loki's calling himself the Sun God. Okay, now, wait a minute. So we have Luffy, who has the power of the Hito Hito no Mi Sun God Nika model, right? Luffy does have fire-based techniques, and he names a lot of his techniques, like booming dawn rifle now, so like named after like dawn, you know, the sun, bright, you know, light, and that kind of stuff, right? Bright, light, right? Yeah, okay, sure. But, what if Loki has the devil fruit that gives him more of like, no, like actual powers of the sun? I did a video about this a while ago where Luffy's true powers might be unlocking like nuclear fusion. Well, what if that's not Luffy? What if that's Loki? What if Loki has nuclear fusion devil fruit? Like he does have the ability to just incinerate things with temperatures that are higher than the Mera Mera, higher than the Magu Magu, like, you know, like break down atoms and cause like massive explosions. Like he could split atoms and shit like that. What if that's the power that Loki has, right? I mean, and that would be, if he did have that power, you could definitely say that he is the bringer of the apocalypse, and you could also say that he's definitely a sun god in that instance, because it's nuclear fusion, right? It's what the sun is. So yeah, let's go with that idea. I like that idea, right? Okay, that's pretty neat. But yeah, there's a lot more stuff to unpack with the last chapter. Like, we didn't even really get into the geography behind Elbaf, and that's a big one when we zoom out and see everything, like how all these different areas of the tree is going to pan out. Like, not even the tree. Like, understand, and this is the thing that really blows me away. Every time we've been to Elbaf up until now, like when Shanks went to the little pub, and when we saw the village with the lamb's house and everything, all of that, from what we can assume, is not even on the tree. It's like bottom level. You know, every single one of those little tiny spikes at the bottom of that panel at the end of the chapter, those are mountains. Like mountains, like giant mountains. Like that was like the Tibetan, like the Himalayas at that point. You know what I mean? Down there. And that's what it's all surrounded by. And that's where a lot of the places we've probably seen so far are located. That's not even getting up into the first level of the tree, and then, you know, even higher up than that. And maybe you can go inside the tree itself, and there's maybe like, because in Norse mythology there's a Needhog that gnaws on the roots, so maybe you can go down into the under part of the tree and there's roots down there, and there's this serpent thing gnawing on it, and then at the top there's that hawk thing, you know what I mean? So like when we really start to explore this place, like the size and scale of it, like Oda's already doing a pretty good job of zooming out and seeing what it is. But like, I'm telling you what, man, to really give us a size and scale of this to actually explore the whole thing, like Oda could probably have a 300 chapters in Elbaf and probably wouldn't be able to, Straw Hats wouldn't be able to see every single thing that's on the country of just by the scale it is. You know what I mean? It's just too big. So we're gonna have to dial that down. You know, I don't think it's gonna be a short arc, but I don't think it's gonna be the longest in One Piece either. I don't think we're gonna have like a Wano level sized arc here. Probably less than 100 chapters, I would assume, but no fewer than Egghead, no fewer than 50 or 60. I think it's going to be a little higher than that. But yeah, we'll get into that in another video. It's a great day to love geography. But anyway, thank you all for watching. I'm going to get going. This will be Teching, signing out. Go to that end screen. Barry, wherefore art thou? Wherefore art thou, Barry?